Hello everyone. I'm Jerry, this is Matt, and this is Wei Wei. And previously on the three mathketeers, we raced each other to solve a problem. But now, today, we're just going to talk about the AMC 10 and AMC 12.
And so, guys, for the AMC 12, which you guys all did, are you satisfied with your performance this year?
Okay, so on 12A, I was pretty satisfied. I think I had a good day on that day, and I solved most of the problems. On 12B, I think I didn't do as well. I think just overall, most of my calculations were off. In the previous 15 questions, I had a lot of calculation errors, so that kind of made me take more time on those. It caused me to have like a worse result.
Jerry, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like on both contests, I could have done better. I sometimes got stuck on a decently hard problem and wasted a bunch of time. And also, there were silly calculation mistakes on both.
On AMC 12A, I feel like I didn't adequately prepare and didn't get enough rest before the contest, which caused me to struggle a bit with understanding some of the problems. On 12B, I was better prepared, but after the contest, I realized I had made some perfectly avoidable calculation mistakes. So I'm not really satisfied with either.
Okay, so it seems that you guys have pretty high expectations for yourselves. Do you think this year's AMC was harder than this year's, or was it a bit easier? Or what do you guys think?
I tried last year's AMC, which is 2022, and it felt a bit harder than this year. And but regarding the leak on AMC 12A, so it was the problems were shared to some people. So I feel like the cutoffs might be a bit higher. So
The AIME cutoffs.
yeah, despite it being easier, including being easier, so the cutoffs should be much higher than last year.
So personally, I think the overall difficulty was around the same, but I think especially on the A, the first few problems were much harder than previous, because I think most of the questions weren't as obvious as they used to be. But for the last few questions, I feel like they were less time consuming and required less calculations compared to the previous years.
Now, thanks to hindsight, I feel like 2022's AMC 12 wasn't, at least the A wasn't that bad. But this year, I feel like although the difficulty might have been similar, my lack of preparation still made it quite hard. Also, the early questions were rather time consuming compared to the regular AMC early problems.
Okay, so if you didn't do good on this year's AMC, what next steps do you take?
Okay, so in preparation for the AMC, I think the best way to prepare is always to just do the past contest problems. Other than that, I think you should always be trying to prepare a level higher. So if you're preparing for the AMC 10, you should be doing 12 problems. If you're preparing for the AMC 12, you should do any problem.
I feel like it can also be useful to memorize some formulas, since unlike Waterloo contests, AMC it might be really useful to know some formulas, which can save a bunch of time.
I think it's also important to diversify the set of problems you're doing. So go beyond just AMCs. Do a lot of other contests. Since once you've done the AMC questions, there aren't going to be the same kind of questions on AMCs again, at least not for a while. So it'll help you be more prepared for questions that haven't appeared before on the AMC.
Funny thing, I'm just gonna add, this year they actually took AIME questions from I think the 2000s and they put it in the 12B. Not exactly the same, but extremely similar ones.
Yeah, so the more practice, the more better you do.
Yeah.
If you're stuck on a particularly hard problem, what do you do? Do you keep working on it, or when you practice, do you just go look at the answer and try to understand it?
In practice, when practicing past contests, I tend to just go past it and go back to it later. But during the contest, I feel like I panicked for a few questions, so I wasted a bunch of time that I could have saved. And when practicing, I go back to the question that I didn't solve, and I try them again. But if like it's really hard, then I just like look at the solution. But I try to like do all the questions before looking at the solution, since like it will help you improve on future questions. Yeah.
Personally, I think looking at the solution is not as bad as a lot of people think it is. When you're unable to solve a problem, there's either two reasons. You either don't have the knowledge yet, or the knowledge point to solve the problem. There might be some theorem or algorithm that you don't know yet. The other type is you're unable to find motivation for the problem. Sometimes the motivation for the problem is really hard to find, and that could be another reason why you're unable to solve the problem. In this case, you know all the theorems, but you just can't find the motivation. In the first case, if you should definitely go and take a closer read at knowledge points that you're missing. But if you're struggling to find motivation in a question, looking at the answer should teach you how to think when you approach a problem. So you should think, why I didn't think of it this way? Why couldn't I find the motivation?
Yeah, I typically follow an approach similar to Jerry's, but I think that even more important than like knowing the theorem, even more important than that is to be able to like apply a theorem in creative ways and to think creatively, since contest math isn't just about substituting values into stuff, it's about moving out of the box. So I think it's important that when you're looking at the solution for a problem, you kind of remind yourself to be able to apply the solution in the future to think in this way that you haven't thought before.
Awesome. And for you guys this year, for the AMC 12, was there like one question that you guys all thought was a bit tricky or a bit hard to get?
In terms of questions, I mean, the harder ones usually appear at the end. But in terms of the order that they appeared, I think 12A number 16 was quite an outlier for appearing as question 16.
Number 16.
For 12A, it was the hardest question on the entire test. It's question 16.
And hello everyone, we're the junior section of our video, so we all did the AMC 10. So my name is William, this is Jenny, and Ethan. And so, the AMC 10, what do we think? How do we think we did?
So I didn't do as well as I had hoped on the AMC. Like I felt like I kind of got like a bit stuck on some of the later questions.
Yeah, I think this year, I think I actually did quite well, but I made a lot of silly mistakes, and that really was disappointing for me. I was able to get some quite tricky questions, but I made mistakes on the easiest questions, which didn't make it a good experience, I think.
Well, for me, it's my first time actually doing the AMC 10, and I was very underprepared, so it was really overwhelming to see all the questions. They're not so easy as I thought they would be, so yeah, not as good as I thought.
Yeah. So as most people would agree, AMC is a relatively hard contest. So for someone who is just starting to prepare for competition math, how would you prepare for AMC? And is studying worth it?
I think the question, is it worth it? I think so. Now, if you go with the process and you actually do the questions, do the contest, and try to prepare yourself as best as you can, you'll not only get a good experience out of the contest, but you'll also meet a lot of people along the way, such as you guys, right? It isn't just for getting the results that you want. It's for meeting people along the way, meeting new friends, and meeting new people. I think that is the most valuable. Because when you're in university, you're not going to remember how well you did in AMC 10. You're going to remember the friends that you made along the way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. This year I was also unprepared for the AMC. I didn't practice nearly as much as I should have. So definitely if I had practiced more, I would have gotten a higher score. So I feel like practicing is definitely very important and it can really help you improve your score and also meet new people on the way and improve and practice your math with those people.
Yeah.
So AMC to me is really hard but I feel like it's an awesome opportunity for everyone to try AMC, as especially for if you want to get competitive in math and you want to think outside of the box for questions. And AMC is the perfect competition for that because every single question is really hard and you have to think outside of the box to solve them. And a tip for studying for AMC, that it would be really helpful if you can challenge yourself to try and solve the problem first before looking at the solutions.
Yeah, so are there any books or websites that you would say that either help you or you would think would be really useful for someone studying for the AMC or just trying to improve their math skills?
Yeah, for me, this year I definitely prepared for the AMC much more than last year. I didn't do well last year. That motivated me to do well this year, and I did improve, which was my goal. So the resources that I personally use is, number one, it's AOPS, Art of Problem Solving. It's perfect for seeing past contest problems, and also they have a YouTube channel and they have sort of explanation videos. Yeah, and also there's lots of books out there as well. AOPS.
Yeah, AOPS is really useful as a resource. Just like you said.
Yeah.
And you can also practice problems from other contests, such as the Waterloo contest. Those questions are very different. They're like a different way of thinking. Another thing is that if you're doing the AMC for the first time, it might feel a little hard with like all these hard questions on the contest. But you need to remember, if you do good on the AMC, that's great. If you don't do that good, well, you can learn from your mistakes, review what you did wrong, practice, and it's still okay because you can learn. It's not the end of the world if you get a bad score.
Yeah, just like what Ethan said, I feel like doing math competitions is not about getting the top 1%, getting in the top 10%. It's about learning from those questions that you do and learning a certain method or an algorithm from those questions. Ethan also mentioned the Waterloo contest. So the website that I use is CEMC. So that website has lots and lots of different Canadian contests from Waterloo, and I use it as a very good resource because I learn most of my contest questions from there.
And also, I think just to point out, you guys mentioned CMC Waterloo, right? I think the biggest resource that you guys all have is your friends. Yeah, especially if you and your friends are preparing together for a contest. Work with your friends, collaborate with them, try to solve problems together. I think that's the biggest resource that everyone has.
If you run into a mistake or challenge in the competition, what would you do and how would you overcome it?
I at first thought the AMC is structured as easy to hardest, kind of like the Pascal and the Cayley contest, but it's not. And so I just started with question 1, and then I tried to do every single question after it in order. But what I learned from this contest is that it's best if you can read over all the questions first and know which ones that are technically easy to solve. And then you first solve those that can get you to the right answer first and secure your marks. And then go back to the ones that you can't really solve or don't know how to solve and try them with the remaining time.
In this AMC, I actually could have gotten higher because I spent a lot of time on the question, but there was an easier question after it that I didn't try.
Don't be stubborn if you can't work out a problem. Let's say you're stuck on question 7. And you're like, oh my god, if I can't solve question 7, how am I supposed to solve question 8? What about question 9? But AMC is just like that. The order is not increasing level difficulty. It's not like that. So yeah, don't be stubborn. Keep moving.
So another thing, if you're practicing for contest and you get to a question you can't solve, you can learn more if you are able to figure it out yourself. But if you really can't, you can look at the solution and maybe read like the first line. Maybe that gives you a hint of where you should go.
Yeah, so I think the AMC overall, it's a good opportunity for students. If you're new to AMC, try it out, prepare for next year. If you didn't do well this year, try again next year. if you have the opportunity to do so. And remember, it's not about the scores. It's about the people you meet on the way. It's about the experience, right? Yeah,
A pro tip for you guys to do the AMC: get a good sleep before the day of the contest, and yeah.
Yeah, and with that being said, yeah, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.